Welcome to Human Potential at Work, the show where we explore social impact, inclusion, and empowerment of everyone, including persons with disabilities. Get ready to be inspired, hear success stories, and learn tips and principles for bringing out the best in everyone.
Hello, everyone. This is Debra Ruh. Happy holidays. This is Human Potential at Work. Today, I have a returning guest that I know I always say I love all my guests, which I do, but LaMondre Pough, oh my goodness, he's an amazing global speaker. And since he's been on the program last time, he has spoken for the UN, Black Lives Matter, and the intersectionality of disability. He has spoken for a group in Kenya. He has spoken for major corporations all over the world. The world is learning about the amazing Dr. LaMondre Pough. So I'm just thrilled to have him back on the program, and I'm going to have him reintroduce himself. He also has his own show, 3D View, and the LaMondre Pough show he's had in the past. So he's got a lot of really rich content out there. But we're going to talk about a very, very important journey that he's on that I'm just so excited about. So I'm going to try to be calm. And if I get all excited, I'll mute myself. But LaMondre, I'm such a fan of your work and I want the world to hear your voice. So thank you. Thank you for being back on the program.
Debra, thank you for inviting me to be on the show again. And I'll tell you, so many of those amazing things that you mentioned in the intro is a direct result of working with you and doing things with you. So I have to say that I'm a huge fan of yours as well, and the work that you do to give voice to those whose voices are usually muted and to amplify those who are trying to get the message out. So I, it's not because I'm wonderful or anything like that, but it's because we have decided to come together and do something that has an impact. So thank you so much, lady. I appreciate that.
And LaMondre, we were talking about, we always chat for a minute before we get on air, and we were talking with the lovely, amazing Doug Foresta, our producer, and he reminded me that in 2010, when I first met him, that I introduced him to you. And what I really wanted to do 10 years ago was I wanted the world to hear your voice. I wanted the world to know, you know, who you were and how you could add value, and other people as well. But the world just didn't seem to be ready for it.
Yeah.
But I think the world's ready for it now, and that's very exciting. And so I do you mind telling the audience a little bit more about your walk and who you are, and sort of how we got here? And I also want to make the comment that LaMondre is our Chief Sustainability Officer, which we're so thrilled and honored about at Ruh Global. But we also were very specific about that because LaMondre has a real passion for the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and sustainability, and really making the world a better place, and inclusion. And we wanted to make sure what we are not interested in doing and is just talking about disability inclusion. We want to talk about the big global problems and how people with disabilities can add value to solving those problems. So, yeah, tell us a little bit more about who you are and your background, Dr.
Sure,
LaMondre.
sure. Well, in a nutshell, I'm very passionate about people. I'm very passionate about the planet, and these two passions really sprang from figuring out how to navigate the world as a Black man with a disability living in South Carolina. And those things in evaluating my process, I found ways. And I found ways that, well, maybe I can help people understand. And maybe we can figure out how we can really, really live this life and make things better for ourselves and for our planet. And really, that's how my journey began. And in all honesty, it's honestly somewhat selfish. It really is, because when I think about it, my goal is to make the world better, yes, for myself, but in order to truly make it better for myself, I have to make certain that it's better for everyone. I have to make certain that the planet is considered. I have to make certain that that everyone has a fair share, that everyone has a fair stake in the game. And so my life's work really has been built around being selfish, but it's a beautiful kind of selfish, because ultimately, where else are we going to go? Who else are we going to be with? It's just us. And so I started my path with that probably when I was about 18 years old, and I got into advocacy, particularly advocacy surrounding people with disabilities. And honestly, that's because it was the most apparent thing that was in front of me then, where I saw significant barriers. And my thinking is, if there's a barrier in front of us, either we're going to go around it or bust through it. One of the two. Either way, it's not going to be an issue anymore. And so that's where I really cut my teeth, was in the disability advocacy arena. But then I'm also an entrepreneur. So I started looking at, okay, what ways can we kind of empower ourselves and help other people empower themselves? And so that was through entrepreneurship. And honestly, I realized that it was much better if I went with a team, if I had support. And that's how I got to Ruh Global, honestly, because Debra said, hey, we worked together in the past, and was thinking about you, and I know that you can bring some value to the team. And Lord knows I wanted to bring value, because my goal changed from it went from just LaMondre being great and LaMondre doing wonderful things to really having an impact and being able to see the world change. And this is the work that we're involved in now. It's having impact. So I know that may have been a little awkward way to get there, but honestly, my life is a little bit awkward, and that's where we're at.
I agree. And it's sometimes you just have to wait for everything to fall in place.
Yeah.
It's interesting in a way how much things have fallen into place for Ruh Global Impact during 2020. I mean, we have been working so hard, struggling. I've invested ridiculous amounts of my own personal money, gone without salaries. I really believe in the work that we're doing, but something beautiful really happened this year. So I'm really excited. So, but also the reason why I wanted to have you on the call today was I want to talk a little bit more about a personal journey that you have begun. And I will recommend that first of all, let me be good, and I'll do for Ruh Global Impact. But we have a YouTube channel that we're growing. We would love for you to visit it. It has all of these videos, Human Potential at Work. It has access chat videos, and we're getting more and more content out there because we want everything to live in one place. It has some of LaMondre Pough's old shows, and it also has his new show that he co-hosts with Richard Streitz and David Perez, also of our team, called 3D View, which is an excellent show. Highly recommend it. And they're all sitting on YouTube, Debra Ruh Global. Long story of why we had to have that, but it's youtube.com/Debra Ruh Global. But LaMondre also has his own channel, the LaMondre Pough channel, there as well. And so he has been posting videos that now live on his channel, but also live on Ruh Global's channel, and about this journey. But I really wanted to get on and talk about it. And I want to show some real love to the company that's making this medicine. So without further ado, let's talk about this journey.
Absolutely. So I have spinal muscular atrophy, and spinal muscular atrophy is a progressive neurological disorder. In a quick nutshell, what it is that there are two proteins that your body has, SMN1, SMN2. Well, with people with spinal muscular atrophy, typically SMN1 is totally deleted from them. So all you have is the backup copy, which is SMN2. But the result then is muscle weakness, curvature of the spine, and there are different types of it. But the type that I have is called type 2. And the result is I basically have the same functional limitations as someone who may have quadriplegia. So I can't use my hands very effectively. I can't use my legs very effectively. I need assistance with all of my activities of daily living. So I need help with bathing, eating, getting dressed, all of that. Someone has to, when I say I need help, someone has to do that for me. Okay? And it wasn't until recent that there were treatments available for spinal muscular atrophy. And I mean, as recent as 2016. Well, the treatment that was available before really it required lumbar punctures and those kinds of things. So it was a procedure that you had to do every 4 months. But and I was all set to get that treatment. I had gotten approved for it and everything. But then COVID-19 happened and put the world on pause. And so what that did was that put my treatment journey on pause as well. Well, as I was getting ready to start everything back up with it, I heard about a treatment called Eversdy. And with Eversdy, it was an oral medication. So I only have to take a medicine every day versus every 4 months getting a lumbar puncture in my spine. And I thought, well, this would be great. So let me look into that. I looked into it. It was approved, I believe, in January of 2020. And by October, I was on it. Now, here's what's amazing about this. This particular treatment, Eversy, it's also known as Risdiflam. That is the actual term for Risdiflam, but the marketing name is Eversy. Um, the idea behind it is that the disease doesn't progress any further, that it halts the progression of spinal muscular atrophy. But a lot of people have been getting some incredible return as well. And I'm happy to say I'm one of those people
Yay.
that's getting some return. And honestly, it really is a miracle. It really is.
It's a miracle.
It absolutely is. There's no other word for it. And so what I decided to do was, because when I was researching Eversty, there was a lot of information about the efficacy in terms of children, but there was very little about adults. So I decided that when I started taking it, that I was going to create videos so adults with spinal muscular atrophy could have a resource to look at and to pull from, and also just to kind of, for anybody to see the progress that I was making, because you got to admit, it's interesting. It's a really interesting story. So I created videos and started putting them on my YouTube channel, and the response has really been overwhelming. It has been. So I'm really over the moon about this. I'm really excited,
Yeah.
about the progress.
You know what? Can we dig in a little bit to this? So first of all, let me ask you, who is the maker of Eversy?
The makers of Eversdy, Risdiflam, is a company called Genentech, and they are the founders of the biotechnology industry, and an incredible group of scientists and people who are really committed to bettering the human condition in multiple layers. So it's all about gene therapy. It's all about really helping humanity to progress in terms of stopping disease. So a really amazing group of people over there, and they're really committed not only to medicine, but also to diversity. And it's really cool. It's
So
really
exciting.
cool to learn about them and to see how they evolved over the years.
Yeah, this is a company that has a big, powerful soul. And talk about changing the world. They are changing the world. And we are really proud to be working with them now at Ruh Global, because they noticed his videos. And that's how much they care. Oh, we're just
Absolutely.
so excited. We're so excited.
Absolutely.
But what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, I didn't ask your permission before this, but I don't think you'll mind because you're pretty easygoing. But I've known you for many years. I'm really blessed to have been friends with you, for, many years.
Mhm.
And, but as I'm watching your videos, you're telling me things I did not know as your friend. And so one thing that I find fascinating is, when I hired you twice, because you also worked with me at Tech Access,
Right.
I hired you because you're brilliant and you're an amazing communicator and you're talented and you're good for my clients and blah, 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 right? But I never really dug into your disability because I don't know, is that really my place? But my place, I do believe, as your employer is, I shouldn't say employer, I am, but still I consider that we're partners because we are, but
Mhm.
is to make sure you're accommodated so you can do your job. That's my job. And I have found that to be very, very easy to do because you know what you need, and it's not really, you don't really ask for anything different from any other team member. And so I really applaud that. But so I was hoping that maybe you would give us a little journey of your life, because I know you told me that, for example, you told me the other day on a call, and this particular thing really touched me to my soul. You saw the guitars that were sitting. I'm not at home today. I'm actually at Richard Straight's house today filming this, but at my house, I have three guitars behind my head on my wall. And you asked me about that. And you said, I used to play guitar and then I lost the use of my hands and I couldn't play guitar anymore, but I do it in my head. I just do it in my head. And I'm hopeful maybe you might be able to get the use of your hands back. And so, as you told me that beautiful story, first of all, I felt so sad that you were losing, you were losing, functionality, because I'm
Mhm.
walking this journey right now in a different way, sadly, with my husband with dementia, and I'm seeing things taking away from him every day.
Right.
And so that's got to be so hard. So I was hoping that maybe you would explore your journey, when you were born, toddler,
Absolutely.
moving on up. And once again, you were able to play the guitar. And then unfortunately, this condition took that from you. And maybe Genentech is going to give that back to you.
Hey, hey, we'll see. I'm on for the journey. Absolutely. So when I was first born, I was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy, or at the time they just said muscular dystrophy. When I was about 18 months old, they weren't really sure as to what type it was. Um, and the prognosis at the time was that, and these are their words, that I would be dead by the time I was 5 years old. And and the advice given to my single teenage mom was to put me in a home and let me die. And thank God, she was like, "Well, I'm not going to do that. So what should I do?" And they said, "Well, what have you been doing?" And she said, "I've been loving him." So they said, "Take him home and do that. Take him home and love him." And my mother is a rock star. She absolutely is, because she never allowed me to feel as if there was something wrong with me. She never allowed me to feel like I was broken. In fact, her philosophy has always been, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise him to be a responsible, good citizen, a good person, and whatever amount of time that we have is the amount of time that we have. But this is what I'm going to do. And we used to dance because I used to walk. I used to walk. In fact, the only reason that she realized something was not quite right in terms of my abilities was the fact that when I would walk, I wouldn't run, and when I fell down, it was hard for me to get back up. And so she just knew something was wrong. So her motherly instinct caused her to question what was going on. So after that prognosis, we went on with life. After the diagnosis, we went on with life. And me and my sister, we were dancers. We would dance, 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 dance. And so music has always played a really important part in my life. But of course, as I got older, dancing became much more difficult for me in terms of the way that we would traditionally dance. So my focus kind of shifted from the dancing piece of it to the performance piece, to the singing of music, to the playing of music. And we had a toy piano, and my sister knew how to play boogie woogie, and she taught me how to play boogie woogie, and I just kind of kept advancing from that. And when I was probably about 6 years old or so, my grandmother bought me an acoustic guitar, and I started playing guitar. Now, I wasn't all that good. It wasn't like I was a musical virtuoso, but I played and I enjoyed it. And it was something about that instrument that just resonated with me. I mean, and I think I mentioned this to you, Deborah, the other day when we were talking about it. It's the smell of a guitar, the smell of that instrument. And I don't know if it's the finish, if it's the glue, if it's the wood, whatever it is, there is a specific smell that guitars have. And from the ages of about 6 until about 16, I had guitars and instruments and I played them. Well, it was about 16 where I had a spinal fusion at the age of 15. And because I was down so long, I lost a lot of the use of my hands. And so I hadn't played the guitar or the piano really since I was about 16 years old. But here's the thing, I still do music and I still love to sing. And it's amazing because even though my muscles don't work the same way that they used to, I still feel it. I can still feel the fingering. I can
So
still
beautiful.
feel the fretboard. I can still feel, it's almost like I can still feel the calluses on my hands from the strings. And of course, they're not there anymore, but it's like I can still feel it. And something that I even do to this day is actually, it's beautiful for me. It's an absolutely beautiful release. Is I'll go to a music store like a Guitar Center and just sit in the guitar room because that smell. And when I'm in there, I can feel my muscles tingling. And it's like my muscles remember. It's like they remember it, and it's a beautiful thing. Now, will I be able to play again? I don't know, but I tell you what, I believe now that I have a greater possibility than I did just 4 months ago. So it's the possibility, and it is the fact that we're looking at stopping the progression
Well,
of
and
this.
that's what you were talking about. You said, I don't want it to keep progressing and anything else to be taken away. And I just had not thought about it that I just, I think about a billion other things, but I hadn't thought about that. And I I mean, once again, I cannot say enough positive things about Genentech
Yeah,
because this is just it's just amazing. It's such a miracle, and they're the heroes. They're the
they
heroes.
absolutely are.
They
They
are
absolutely
definitely
are.
heroes.
They absolutely are. And I'll tell you, in speaking with them, and they really live this.
Oh,
This is not a marketing thing. This is not a company that wordsmith something. This is who they are.
oh,
And
gives you
because of
hope.
that,
Gives you
yeah,
hope, doesn't it?
absolutely, absolutely. Particularly when you start thinking about, biotechnology companies and whatnot,
They don't care. It's just
but
about money.
exactly, but that's not the case. That's not the case here, and it's authentic. And and I think that for so many people, there has not been a treatment for spinal muscular atrophy for so long that when the treatments started to become available, of course, people had questions. And when we realized that there was a treatment that you can just take orally every day, that opened the market up for so many people to have the opportunity to say, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. You mean that my lung capacity may not diminish? You mean that I may be able to breathe longer? These kinds of things. When I see stories about children with SMA who were not able to sit up on their own, now they're able to balance themselves. That's amazing work. And here's the thing. I'm not saying this stuff to be a tearjerker or to tug at anybody's emotions. I'm talking about people improving their quality of life. I'm talking about a key that allows people to realize the potential that they were brought into this world with. That's what this is doing. That's what this is doing. So I remember when I was younger, after I passed the milestones of the age 5, and then they said, okay, 20 is about it. Then they said 35, mid 30s, that's it.
Nope.
I'm 47 today. And now, because of Eversty and because of Genentech and because of the other treatments that are out there also, it's like, you know what? I might be too old to die young.
That's
So
right.
that's what this is allowing to
Yeah,
happen for so many people. And again, I have noticed some improvements in my body. Like my neck is stronger. I believe that I'm breathing better. I'm not aspirating as
And
much as I
tell
used
us
to.
more about that, because that was something you told me about. You told me, and before we go there, I believe you have a niece or a cousin also, right? So
Absolutely. I
talk
have
about helping people. I know a beautiful, amazing young woman that, you know,
Absolutely, absolutely. My little cousin Ariana. Ariana is 11 years old,
oh,
but I swear to you, she's 35. I swear to you, she's 35, but she's 11 years old. She called me yesterday, actually, and she is on a treatment. She's not on Eversty, but she is on another treatment.
okay.
And
Oh,
watching how she has improved was amazing, because I remember where she couldn't grasp certain things with her hands, and she would have difficulties sitting up as well. But I remember the first time I saw her after she had been on treatment for a few months, and we were at a gala. We were at an event. This is prior to COVID-19. We were at an event, and when I walked up to her, she was sitting up in her chair. She was on her phone with her head down. So keep in mind, that means that she was holding her phone in her hand and she was balancing herself in her chair. And so to see the results that she's having, I know that that meant that her outcomes could be so different than what they were before. That now her future looks different from what it looked before. And honestly, she was one of the reasons that gave me the courage to say, you know what? Check this out, man. Look into it. See what's going on. So honestly, Ariana is a hero of mine, and that story is being repeated over and over again. And I will tell you, there's so many others out there who have no clue about this or who may be afraid of it. And my thinking is, give it a shot. Give
right.
it a shot. If it makes sense for you, give it a shot.
And
So,
LaMondre, just once again, I'm going to ask you some questions that surprised me. And so, do you mind? Because tell a little bit about what you have experienced, and I'm going to cue you a little bit. I remember when
okay,
you went and voted, you had an experience on the van. I remember you told me asphyxiating. I didn't know you were walking these paths at night, because you
absolutely.
don't tell me this. You don't want me to feel sorry for you, but I love you. And so
Yeah.
when you told me some of the things you'd been experienced, and then I watched the video that you did. You've done so many beautiful videos, but you did a video where it demonstrated it, and I'm hoping you'll do a demonstration for us. I don't know if that's, I know it's a little bit more difficult, but and what our audience doesn't know is that you are actually doing a demonstration right now, because you are not using a headrest.
Right. I'm not using my headrest.
Okay, which once again, you haven't told me everything you're experiencing, but now you're sharing more, and I'm blown away. So I was just
Yeah.
hoping that you might
Yeah,
also
absolutely.
share.
Absolutely. So as I mentioned, I can't use my hands. I can't walk or anything like that. And I need help with all of my activities of daily living. And what Deborah specifically talking about was I had an issue with aspirating when I slept at night. Sometimes, or either when I ate small particles, something like maybe nuts or something like that, they would get caught in my throat, and I would have a hard time moving it. Um, that has been cut tremendously. It doesn't happen as much. It still happens, but it doesn't happen as much anymore. And so I sleep better at night. Um, I'm able to eat more things, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing. I'm looking at my face here, but it really has improved. And the experience on the vehicle that on the van that Deborah is talking about is I actually had to go do a video at a studio, and with COVID-19, I hadn't been anywhere in a long time, and when I got on the van, by the time we got to the studio, I was so worn out, I could not drive my chair off the van. So someone literally had to grab my hand control, drive me off the van, drive me into the studio. And I had to sit there for a moment to build up enough strength to actually perform, to actually deliver the message that I was there to deliver. And because of that, I was still wiped out. So when the van came to pick me up, again, I had to be driven onto the van and then driven into the house when I got back home. And I was worn out. I was literally like, wiped out. But then, after that, I started with Eversty. I started with my treatments. And the next outing that I had was my grandfather's funeral. My grandfather passed away. And so we went to the funeral. And it was because of COVID-19, it was an outdoor service so that people could attend and we could still maintain adequate social distance. And the terrain was grassy and bumpy. And typically in that kind of environment, I have to have assistance. Someone would have to support my arm, someone would have to drive my chair. Not this time. This time I was able for that entire day navigate that funeral, that ground, that place without any assistance. It was uneven, I was being bumped around, and I was able to drive up on the van on my own and drive back home on my own as well. So it really showed me that was probably the biggest example of, no, you really are stronger. You really are seeing it, because here's the thing, the changes are subtle. They're small changes, but it's the aggregate of all those small changes that really shows the impact that this can have. Keep in mind, my goal is only to not lose anything. That's what my goal is. I'm gaining, and that's what's amazing. And then we're talking about demonstration. So as she said, I'm not wearing my headrest. Typically, I would wear my headrest all the time. My headrest is actually a piece that goes behind my neck and supports my head. And it's not that I have to lay my head on it all day, every day, but my neck will get tired, and sometimes I just have to kind of let it lay there for a moment. And if I did this, I would not be able to pull my head back up. Check this out. And I've been doing it a couple of times in this video, not even thinking about it now, not even thinking about it, but that was an issue for me. I struggled with that for a while, and it's a little tough because it's hard to not get a little emotional.
This is your life, LaMondre.
Yeah,
of course you're going to get emotional about it. This is your life.
So.
God, you have so much work to do.
Yeah.
And you want your body to cooperate with you. It's just such a wonderful experience.
It's a blessing. It's absolutely powerful. A blessing. I believe that this is divinity. It's divinity found in science. I'm telling you, so and I am thankful. And that's why I want to share. I want to share my journey, and I want to share my story, because my hope is that people can look at what's happening with me and decide whether or not this is the right move for them. But I also, and I'm very transparent. I'm very transparent. I'm showing what my realities are. So it's the good and the bad. It's all of that. It's answering the questions that people may be afraid to ask, and just putting it out there very genuinely and very open. And I will tell you, one of the things that has been so amazing, especially with the videos that I've created, are the conversations that are now happening. Right. I just yesterday, I had 2 young men with spinal muscular atrophy, reached out to me to talk about their journeys, and they weren't talking about their disease journey either. They weren't talking about the spinal muscular atrophy journey. They were talking about life journeys. They're talking about the possibilities for their lives now. I've had people to reach out to me. They were just talking about how motivated they were and how intrigued they were. They don't even deal with spinal muscular atrophy, but about how this journey encourages them. And I know that we're to stay away from inspiration porn. Here's the thing. Inspiration is an inside job. I can't tell you what inspires you, just like you can't tell me what inspires me. I'm a musician. I'll get inspired by an airplane flying overhead, and I'll think of a bass line to go with that airplane. And the truth is, nobody told that airplane to inspire me. That airplane wasn't trying to. It just did. But now, yes, don't follow me just because you feel pity or anything like that. But I hope you follow me because you find something that encourages you to move on, because you find something that builds you up, because you find something that has an impact in your life and you see the possibilities in yourself.
Ooh, well
And
said.
honestly, that's what it was always there, but this opens the door even the more so. And so
I agree.
I'm
And
just grateful.
LaMondre, when you talk about Genentech, um, e- they're what they've created here. It can help other types of disabilities. I mean, there's so many things that we're going to be able to learn from that, and they're really focused on really creating solutions for people through the gene therapy that are really going to
Absolutely.
change people's lives like this. And I was just wondering if you wouldn't mind expanding a little bit more about what Genentech is doing.
Well, I think it's important to understand the research that went into these kinds of developments. You discover other things, and they really are expanding into so many areas and doing great work in those areas. I can't tell you specifically what those things are because honestly, that is out of my. It's really some genetic stuff, but the benefits are incredible for humanity.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Um, and again, like I said, just an amazing company with an amazing story. And they're really genuine people who are doing genuine
They have
work.
a
So
heart, a real
they do,
heart for
they
making
do,
a change.
they do.
I applaud them. I
It
applaud
really
them.
does. It really does. It reaffirms the faith in people doing the right thing. It really
Yes,
does.
yes,
That
yes.
that
I
is
agree.
not just about the dollar. It's not just about what's in it for me, but it really is about changing the lives of people. So
And I know that we're almost out of time, but I'm gonna I know that we're working on a very different type of mentoring program, which LaMondre is going to be leading, and Nabil, our CIO, is helping with the programs, and we're, partnering with a wonderful woman that's also supporting these efforts. But you talk about these people that are reaching out to you, and I just think looks like opportunities there as well, because one thing that we've seen is there are mentoring programs around, but it just seems like at the end of the day, the person that's being mentored doesn't ever get a job from it. And we're like
mhm,
really tired of that. And we really believe representation matters. And we're really going to look at this very differently, as Ruh
absolutely.
Global is known for doing. But so stay tuned for more. Lamondre is going to tell everybody more about that. But I wanted to make sure that I left time for you to remind people how to follow you on social media and where they can find your content, including some of your shows.
Absolutely. Well, I'm on YouTube, LaMondre Pough, LaMondrePoughh. You can also find me on Facebook, same thing, LaMondre Pough. I'm on Twitter at LaMondre_P, and also on Instagram at LaMondre_P. And I'll tell you, I'm so thankful for the opportunities that have been afforded to me through Ruh Global, through my personal connection with Debra, and so many opportunities that are out there. And really, what the opportunity is to be a voice and to have my voice heard. And I'm just thankful for that opportunity. So connect with me. I'd love to chat with you. I'm really open, so no questions, are off the table. Just ask away, or if I can be of any assistance in any way, please let me know. I'm more than happy to do that.
And you're also on LinkedIn. I'll
Absolutely, I can do
remind you
very well
that
on
he's on,
LinkedIn.
well, he's on most of the, all of the main ones. And also, Lamondre is a speaker. He's a global speaker. And so he can do webinars, he can do speaking engagements, and he's a consultant. And he really knows what true inclusion looks like and representation. And he understands all the intersectionalities that we must be aware of and really be deliberate about including. So very proud to work with you. And I'm hoping you'll come back on, and maybe even we could talk Genetech into coming back on, and I mean coming on together, and y'all could talk about this. I would love to have Genetech telling us, you know, from their perspective. We just want to share some love. We want to pour some love
Absolutely.
on these amazing people. So it would be cool if maybe you could come back and give us more updates, and also maybe Genentech would, we could talk them into joining us in the future as well. But thank
Absolutely.
you. And good
Absolutely.
luck. Good
Deborah,
luck.
I love you. Thank you so much.
Yes, we need some hopeful news. And this is really, really good news and couldn't happen to a better person. And much, much love to Genentech and everyone else that's making a difference. We all have to be the light forward we have to be. So thank you. Happy holidays, everyone. Happy holidays, Doug Foresta and LaMondre. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Bye, everyone.